When I reviewed Catherine last year, I mentioned that summertime is generally not favorable towards gamers, with the majority of high-profile titles being released either earlier in the year or later. While this is generally true, I had forgotten about one thing that tends to make summer a bit more tolerable: DLCs. And in this video, I'll be taking a look at the first DLC to come out for Skyrim, Dawnguard. So, is this addition to the game worth the $20 price tag? Well, let's take a look, shall we? This DLC begins with you running into a stranger once entering a city. This man will ask if you're interested in joining his order named the Dawnguard. Naturally, you will then ask him what the Dawnguard are, to which he will respond that they are an ancient order of vampire hunters who have been re-established due to the great vampire threat. Now, I haven't noticed any great vampire threat in Skyrim personally, but hey, I guess I was a little too busy killing dragons. After this encounter, you are then guided to the Dawnguard fortress, and as their new initiate, are tasked with investigating a cave suspected to be filled with vampires. After clearing this cave, you stumble upon a young vampire woman in captivity named Serana. Considering she's the first vampire that hasn't tried to kill you on sight, you may decide to escort her back to her castle. It is here that you will meet the leader of the vampires in Skyrim, Lord Harkon. Harkon is of course grateful for the return of his daughter, or more specifically, the Elder Scroll that she possesses. He is so grateful, in fact, that he will offer you a reward. Reward number 1 is the ability to become a vampire lord yourself. Reward number 2 is to be banished from the presence of the vampires, but on the bright side, they will spare your life. If you decide to take his gift, then he will let you in on his plans. And what exactly are his plans, you ask? Well, have you ever been really sunburnt? Have you ever gotten sun poisoning? Have you ever been tired of living in Michigan and still having to deal with 105-degree weather? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then Harkon has a deal for you. With the use of his daughters, and a few other Elder Scrolls, he will manage to find a way to permanently blot out the sun. But of course, that's just option A. If you side with the Dawnguard, many of the missions will still be the same, but your task will be preventing Harkon from following through with his plans. So, will the tyranny of the sun finally end, or will you end up saving the ungrateful residents of Skyrim from yet another threat? Well, that's all up to you. And now for the reviewing. While this DLC still takes place in Skyrim, there are a few new areas to explore, including a castle in which to reside regardless of whose side you choose, and those who have played Elder Scrolls 4 may remember this area. But along with just new areas, there are a few new nifty weapons, such as a crossbow, new Dragonbone weapons which are more powerful than the Daedric ones, and of course being the Dovahkiin, you will have access to new shouts. But where would the fun be of having new weapons without some new enemies? Along with the obvious vampires, you will encounter newer skeletons named Bone Men, new dogs named Deathhounds, armored trolls, which will be on your side if you side with the Dawnguard, new more powerful dragons, and my personal favorite, gargoyles. Along with all of this edition also adds the ability of horseback-mounted combat, and you can even hire an NPC to change your facial features for a small fee. But of course, I'm sure you're all wondering how the Vampire Lord aspect works, and if it's anywhere near of a hindrance as it was in Oblivion. Well, let me break it down for you. Once you become a vampire, you may manually turn into your Vampire Lord form at any time. While in this form, you may either attack on the ground with melee strikes, or using magic attacks while hovering. Gaining kills while in this form unlocks an entire new level tree, which gives you the ability to unlock new attacks and perks. Like in Oblivion, being a vampire gives you bonuses to certain skills automatically, but of course, there are still downsides. In order to lessen the negative effects of being a vampire, you must feed on someone in their sleep. While doing so lessens the negative effects, it will also make you weaker in combat, while not feeding makes you stronger in Vampire Lord form, but also heightens the negative effects. And just what are these negative effects? Oh, you know, taking penalties to skills while in sunlight, having a massive weakness to fire, and of course people not wishing to speak with you due to you looking like a parasitic bloodsucker. But on the bright side, they will no longer attack you on sight like they did in Oblivion. So, in conclusion, can I recommend this extension to the Skyrim universe? Well, this DLC does manage to add some fairly interesting quest lines, weapons, locations, and abilities. However, my main concern is the price. Now, this DLC will run you $20. Why do I find this problematic? Well, last year when I reviewed all of the DLC for Fallout New Vegas, those only ran me $10 a piece and still managed to give a good amount of content. So, if you like what you hear about this DLC and aren't bothered by the price, or just want to wait until it drops, I can recommend this for you. So until next time, this is E-Dog, Dragon Slayer, Vampire Slayer, Dovahkiin. See you next time.